Welcome to Chapter 1 of the CPH course, or the Conduct and Practices Handbook course. Chapter 1 is all about the standards of conduct and ethics, and this textbook, or this course, it is typically taken right after the Canadian Securities course. I will be going over each of the 9 chapters, so stay tuned for that. As I mentioned, this chapter is all about the standards and conduct of ethics, and it is a pretty short chapter, but let's jump into it. So first off, you do need to know that there is some conduct that does contravene from expected standards in the industry. First off, negligence of duty. So registered representatives, or RRs, they have a duty to operate with a high standard of ethics and conduct at all times. Failure to comply with legal, regulatory, and contractual obligations will be something that will contravene that expected standard. So you do need to follow IROC rules, regulations, and policies. Rules and regulations of the applicable Securities Commission or the administrators, as well as the internal rules and policies of the firm that you are working for. Any unreasonable departure from expected standards of ethics and conduct, so this basically means the penalties for engaging in such conduct, may actually include reprimands, fines, suspensions, or termination of employment or termination of registration. Now, in this chapter, it also talks a bit about ethics versus morals. So basically, ethics, they are the set of values or morals that guide an individual's behavior. And it is the continuous process of examining our choices and making decisions within the context of moral principles. Whereas morals, they are the rules and habits of conduct established according to society's perceived standards of right and wrong. So you can see that they are quite similar, but basically ethics is that set of values that guides the individual's behavior, whereas morals, they're basically just established by society and they're perceived as just standard right versus wrong. And so integrating ethics within industry rules. So first off, we have the Know Your Client rule. You'll often see this in the industry as the KYC rule. This basically means that you must understand your client's situation before making investment recommendations. And this includes things like net worth, employment income, risk tolerance, time horizon, things like that. Another thing is the Know Your Product. So you must understand the products that you are recommending, and you need to ensure the investments suit the client's situation or suits their KYC. Also, you must be able to properly explain new, non-traditional, complex, and structured products, all of which you would have learned in the Canadian Securities course. Duty of care. This refers to the requirement to provide advice to clients fully, honestly, in good faith, and with the proper skills and knowledge. And also with duty of care, basically the standard of care does not need to be perfection, but it must at least show appropriate skills and knowledge. So all RRs, they must actually take their job seriously. They must have some knowledge in the industry that doesn't need to be perfect, but they must at least show some skill and knowledge. And they also need to be careful with the investments. They need to know what they're talking about, and just research on things that they are recommending to their clients. Now, the following are some rules of thumb as an RR. So first off, you need to gather as much information as you can about your clients so that you do understand their needs, goals, and risk tolerance. This is probably one of the first things that you will want to do when meeting a new client. It will allow you to move on to the next step, where you can learn about the products you sell to ensure that your recommendations suit each client's situation. So just being able to understand your client's situation will allow you to recommend the proper product for them. And of course, you do need to know all the products first off. Third is act in honest, fair, and a trustworthy manner in all dealings with clients, employers, colleagues, and the public. Basically a standard in any profession. 4 is avoid entering into situations where interests conflict with those of your client. So you can't really have any personal dealings with your client other than your business as an RR. Conduct a business in a professional manner that reflects well on yourself, your employer, and your profession, and you must also encourage others to do the same. 6 is strive to maintain and improve your professional knowledge and that of others in the profession. You need to conduct yourself in accordance with applicable securities legislation and industry rules, and hold client information in the strictest confidence. Now, next we do have a case study. This is a pretty good case study. You can pause the video to read it over. But basically, in this scenario, Sally has clearly violated her KYC and KYP, so know your client, know your product rules, and the duty of care responsibility. So she has a duty to discover that any products she recommends are suitable and that her clients are aware of the associated risks along with these products. Also, since she is not a licensed portfolio manager, she has therefore engaged in unauthorized discretionary trading, which violates the know your product and duty of care responsibility. Basically, in this case study, Sally should have never placed the trade with the leveraged ETF because she was not licensed and because she did not obtain confirmation from the client first. So your duty as an RR, you must make sure that every client transaction is suitable for the particular client. And in order to do this, you must know your clients and the products that you recommend. So in this case, the dealer member failed to properly train and supervise Sally and would be liable in the event of a complaint. And so that is all I have in this slideshow. Chapter 1 was a pretty short chapter, but stay tuned for Chapter 2. If you are looking forward to that, make sure that you do comment and like the video, and I'll see you in the next chapter.